Hey everyone, my name is Sean Arnold, and hey, have you heard about Jojo's Bizarre Adventure? This is a phenomenal anime overall. This is just one of the best shows I've seen in a very long time. I've largely ignored Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. I know it's been a huge anime and a very beloved anime for many years in Japan and across the West too. Many people have liked it, but it's never really appealed to me at a point where I thought I just want to go and watch it. And they've been remaking the older story and redoing it with new animations, and it looks incredible. And I thought, let me just check it out. I started by reading the manga, and the manga was really dark and really graphic. And although it's got a lot to do with fantasy, it does it in such a way which it feels kind of fresh and original. And I'm going to talk about all the parts I've seen so far. I've seen Jojo Part 1, 2, 3, and Jojo Part 4 is currently airing on wherever your favorite anime website is right now. But I'm going to quickly break down my thoughts on each of them. What I loved about Jojo Part 1 was the overarching story. It has mainly just 2 chapters, or 2, if you want to call it 2 seasons, or 2 cut-off points. And it's just a really long continuous anime that feels really good. What it does is it introduces the 2 main characters, Jojo and Dio. Dio is one of the most evil villains I've seen in a long time, particularly in anime. He's probably just absolutely cruel. He's so cruel that they really toned him down actually from the manga. In the manga, he is just despicable. He makes you want to hate him so well. And it's just really good for a writer in this day and age, for them to make you not be rooting for the villain, but to actually just want to kill them. Like, I hated that guy. And Joseph, no, that's not Joseph. Oh man, I forgot the original Jojo. The first Jojo, the first Jojo is, man, I've forgotten his name. Jonathan, yeah, that's it. The first Jojo, Jonathan, he is very bland, very plain. He's very much like a Ryu character. He's strong, he's built, he fights for good and wants to conquer evil. And Dio is somewhat kind of related to him by their growing up experiences, and so he feels it's his responsibility to deal with Dio. And it goes nuts. It starts off as being really just a big rivalry, but it goes into some fantasy elements, and I won't say too much about what happens there, but I really liked the way the story was presented, and it was really just quite dark. Then you get into Part 2, and Part 2 is much more fun, much more adventurous as opposed to the first one. The first one felt more like a mission where they had to go and save the world, whereas Part 2 feels more like an adventure. And that's when I feel like this series really starts to pick up, because you get a new character, Joseph Joestar, and he's whilst Jonathan was a British person, Joseph is American, and he travels around America, and he starts off by fighting enemies who have the same powers as the bad guys in Part 1, and also Nazis along the way. And man, I gotta say one thing is, when you can make a really cool Nazi, you're doing something right there. I've never ever really rooted for a Nazi before, but there's a Nazi in Part 2 where I think, you know what, you're pretty damn cool. I actually really like that character. Part 2 was really fun. What I noticed about Part 2 particularly is the way the story writing starts to change. And I think this is really incredible by whoever made the Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. As in, he seems to be responding towards how stories are told in the time. I feel like he had this whole overarching story for Part 1, whereas Part 2 can be broken down into even smaller chapters, where they have little different adventures, all tied together, but they're much more easier to digest, and they have very clear stopping points between each part. I really enjoyed Part 2, really fun, fantastic opening, fantastic ending, just really fantastic stuff. And then we got Part 3. Part 3 is the most popular part for Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. It's the one that most people know. It has the most iconic characters, and it's when the idea of stands are first introduced. And yeah, Bizarre Adventure really describes Part 3 well. First of all, again, to touch on the writing, something else happens there which is really cool, and that is instead of it being like an overarching story through all multiple episodes, each episode seems to have its own story. And I feel like that again is a reflection of the time that the stories were being written, where most popular cartoons, even though anime is very separate from cartoons, most popular cartoons had to be digested within a half an hour slot, and therefore you would have a story which will begin and end within half an hour. You get the bad guy, they will come, they'll cause problems, and by the end of the episode, that will be stopped. Some of these do go over multiple episodes, and they do carry on a little bit, but it definitely feels more like your Saturday morning villain style of anime. And that's really, really cool, and also really kind of bad in some ways. What I really liked about it is that we got to be introduced to so many more characters this time around. And one thing that is fantastic about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 is, or even the whole thing overall, is that even though this anime is quite old, or the story was written quite a long time ago, everything about it still feels original. And to be able to say that about something which is so old is really, really quite outstanding. A lot of the powers which characters get, you don't really expect to kind of be that way. There are characters in there who you see and you think, oh, I can guess what power you have, and you will be absolutely shocked that you won't guess it at all. It's really just quite bizarre. Everything seems to be following its own rules, and it really works well together. It does last a long time, and I did start to get a bit tired of Part 3 because they are on this journey to go and fight a bad guy and go and stop him from taking over the world or whatever his goal was, and it does take a long time for them to get there. And the thing which is different about this one as compared to say Part 1 and Part 2 is the main villain's presence isn't really felt until the end of the series, because you don't really see him, although he is talked about in third person by a lot of characters, and most of the people they're fighting work for him. His presence isn't really felt until you actually get towards the end, and it's kind of a different take. I kind of wish we spent a bit more time with him, but nonetheless I strongly recommend Part 3 as well. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is amazing. Just an amazing show. Holy crap, I really regret not having explored this much sooner. It feels refreshing at every point. Every character seems pretty damn awesome. There isn't one person in there who I say, I don't really like that person. Everyone seems really cool in the show, and even though they might be a bit underwhelming at first, eventually they just grew on me, and just like everyone was a hero in those shows. Fantastic series, and I'm really enjoying Part 4 right now, which just started a few weeks ago. And again, to talk about the originality, they have changed their art style to be completely different from what they used to do, and it looks really good. Again, it's just they know what they're doing with this series, and I strongly recommend it to anyone who might be interested to also go and see it. So yeah, that's been my impressions on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Really great, and I will be getting the new game that comes out later on this summer called Jojo Eyes of Heaven. I'm looking forward to that now, really, and I might even grab the PS3 copy that came out maybe 2 years ago, Jojo's All-Star Battle, and have a look at that too. Just fantastic stuff. If you guys like anime, take the time to check out Jojo, you won't regret it.